Hi, Jayanth.
Hi,
Good to see you
Leslie.
back.
Good to
Hope your
see you.
Malta trip was fruitful and you had some insight. I heard you were one of the speakers at the Malta summit.
Yeah.
So hope you had a good experience.
Oh, it was a great experience. It was Mediterranean Tourism Foundation's forum. It's a flagship conference, and I speak on the technologies, especially emerging technologies in the travel and tourism industry every year there. So it was a great experience.
But despite all the emerging tech, I heard you lost your bag and I hope you got it in one piece.
I lost more than a bag last week. Yes, I did, although a bit late. But hey, welcome back to India. Good to have you back in India and Bangalore and on India time zone.
Yeah, thank you. And luckily, fortunately for me, I did not lose my bags. So,
Yeah,
as they say, I did not lose my shirt either.
I
But
know.
speaking about losing your shirt, I
Losing
guess,
shirts.
yeah, I mean, this would be an interesting thing because on the one hand, of course, it's happy birthday, ChatGPT. One
Yes.
year, it has completed a full year of 100 million downloads in just the first 2 months. And of course, the current figures are around 100 and I have some figures from data.ai and writerbuddy.ai, which I'll share in a bit. But for the benefit of our viewers and listeners, so much has happened in the last,
Oh, so much.
15 days. It's amazing, simply
It's like
amazing.
it's like OpenAI, the company, has to, shock the world in the second half of November, one way or the other.
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, interesting that you said it because in November 30, it sort of awed the world
Yes.
with,
Last year. Every
100
year, yeah.
million, absolutely 100 million this thing, 100 million
Active
downloads and
users.
active users in just 2 months of its existence.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it continued making waves till I think 16th, 15th, no, what was it? 15th or 16th February, November. That was a red letter day for Sam Altman, where he was
Oh, no, it was
yeah.
17th November. 17th November. I remember that date
17th
so well.
November,
17th
yeah,
November.
17th November, yeah.
Yeah.
Because 6th of November they had the open Dev
Dev
days.
Day. 6th of
Yeah,
November, they had the Dev
yeah.
Day. Yeah.
16th was
17th, we got
my
the letter.
yes, correct, because 16th was Microsoft Ignite, and the
Ignite.
interesting part was there's a journalist, some international journalists. We had a select roundtable with Microsoft's chairman and CEO Satya Nadella.
Right.
That we were asking him, one of the questions was about OpenAI.
Uh-huh.
Now, little did we know, and surprisingly, it turned out that little did he know that the very next day, Sam Altman would be ousted from the
Correct.
company.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I found it like strange because, absolutely, even if he knew about it, he gave absolutely no hint of it. But I think subsequently it was clear that he was informed simply minutes before it.
Minutes before,
And
yes.
it's kind of surprising given that Microsoft is a 49% stakeholder in
Exactly.
OpenAI and invested more than $11 billion dollars by now.
Right.
So
No,
in
I mean,
2000.
all said and done, with this incident or event or this drama that you would say, one thing is clear, right? I mean, this particular incident actually brought to the fore the discussion about responsible AI. The way that OpenAI board acted, okay, and Ilya Sutskever acted. It was in the in the interest of development of responsible AI, and board, I think, pulled off what was in their rights, and even not letting the minority stakeholder and the biggest shareholder know about it. Okay, but this entire incident now brings AI for profit, or the value creation of AI versus responsible AI development. That conversation or that debate, okay, to the fore, to the surface, and it has drawn lines. I mean, ideally, in my mind, both should be done by the same people, same team, same companies. Okay, there shouldn't be lines drawn, but I think this has now made two sides of the debate. And last week I was in Europe, and you know how Europe is all about safety, security, safeguarding the and regulations, and safeguarding the rights of the citizens, and everything first, right? So this conversation was at the top of everybody's mind that I was speaking to there, members of European parliaments, ministers, industry leaders, everyone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in fact, actually, we will talk more about this, but just hold your thoughts for a bit on this particular thing of responsible AI, which is extremely crucial.
Right.
But I just want to, highlight, since we said happy birthday, ChatGPT, and that's the overall, let's begin with a lot of positives out here.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
yes.
yeah, I mean, so there's this 15th November study by writerbuddy.ai, and this has underscored ChatGPT's supremacy in the AI tool sector with a whopping 14.6 billion visits. That's, it's a kind of an average of 1.5 billion visits every month.
Wow.
And by now, ChatGPT has a 60% share of the traffic within the top 50 AI platform that WriteBuddy has analyzed.
Nice.
And this second finding is that mobile devices are the preferred means of access for 58% of ChatGPT's users, while its user base is mostly male at 74.16%. This is, sort of reveals a
Almost three
significant,
quarters.
that
Wow.
reveals a significant
That's
gender
interesting.
disparity in its audience.
That's interesting. That's a very
Then,
interesting statistic.
yeah,
1:3 in terms of female versus male ratio.
The third part is like in the meanwhile, given all the stuff that happened at OpenAI, its competitors, which includes Google Bard, Perplexity AI, Character AI, they account for about 19% of the chatbot market's monthly visits, according to the WriterBuddy.ai report. And despite the competition, ChatGPT dominates the AI tool sector with an average usage duration of 30 minutes. Yeah.
Interesting.
30 minutes. Yeah.
This is all the time that ChatGPT is taking away from Google, Bing, Wikipedia, and to some extent even Facebook and social media as well.
Yeah, it's
30 minutes.
integrating the search part of it, and because I think
30 minutes is a significant,
but it might be interesting to actually explore whether it has taken away audience from search, which is what we are now understanding clearly, that it has taken away a significant amount of users from, say, what they would have done minimal search and just using mobile immediately on their chat GPT, or are they complementing it with search? I'm not too sure about that part of it. But having said that, so there are two things that you probably may want to look at. One is, of course, that ChatGPT is most popular in the US, followed by India and Brazil. Now, these are the findings of WriteBuddy.ai. Now, Data.ai, which was formerly App Annie, they have come up with a similar kind of report. So their report was just released today itself. On 1st December. So their report sort of corroborates that India has contributed the single largest portion of global ChatGPT app installs. That's 18%. And that is just ahead of the US. US is 17.5%. So according to this data.ai, India is slightly ahead. Of course, it sort of buttresses the very same point that the WriterBuddy report has said, that mobile version has achieved 110 million downloads and generated approximately $28.6 million in global consumer spending combined.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the mobile version. They're just talking about the mobile version.
Yeah,
so that sort of corroborates the point that WriterBuddy made, that 58% of the users on mobile devices.
Right.
And of course, Data AI has come up with some more interesting point that within 1 week of being launched on Google Play, the app hit a record weekly adoption of about 18 million new installs.
Within a week.
Yeah, within a week. And downloads on both iOS and Android combined have been maintained at above 4 million in the past 5 weeks to date. And to date means that even after the fracas happened.
Correct. So, App Annie has always been pretty great at mobile app, downloads and everything around that data, right? So, everything on the usage of ChatGPT on mobile, I think Data.ai, which is erstwhile App Annie, I think, their data should be fairly close, because even the industry, they follow a lot of Data.ai statistics. and the
No, but
numbers.
I was looking at the writer body also. Data seems to be pretty credible in that sense because this is being corroborated by the same part of it.
No, and one of the statistic that data.ai talks about, which says that India has the highest usage, is something that I am hearing from the industry as well when I speak to the country heads and the CEOs of the large global enterprises and their India country heads. Okay, this is also something that I'm hearing also. They don't have the, or at least I don't have the correct data to this one, but India leads the rest of the world in terms of ChatGPT adoption and usage.
Yeah, but it will also be interesting to our earlier point, but what we were also discussing is how much revenue, actually advertising revenue, has it been able to take away from search engines, or has it even, because I don't if you look at the revenue model, other than the fact that ChatGPT is just charging subscribers for ChatGPT Plus, and then of course, then creating the whole GPT builders,
GPT builder, yes.
So they will be making revenue from that, and then clearly the collaboration with Microsoft, where it is being integrated with Copilot, it's being done across the board with many other things, and then of course, regardless of how you look at it, LLMs are the base for everything else. So that way, there's no clear construct of the business model, but it seems to be dispersed. I would love your thoughts on that.
No, I completely agree. One of the metric to look at, and if I am a Google search business head, or the or the vertical head, or the Bing search vertical head, that would be that metric would be what I'd be looking at. But even before that, when the writer buddy's data says that average usage is 30 minutes, I'd like to see if the total or the average internet usage on mobile has increased or not. If it hasn't, then clearly these 30 minutes are coming from the erstwhile usage of search and social media, and search
is
and
it
research.
increasing the that's a very valid point.
Is it increasing the pie? And I don't think it is, because I remember the statistics during the COVID years. Okay, during the lockdowns, okay, the mobile internet usage and the average time of use on the mobile and the internet had increased significantly. But I think the global average settled and plateaued even during the lockdown times at about 4 or 4.5 hours per user per day per capita. I don't know if it's the US numbers or the global average, but even during the lockdown, when people were stuck to their houses, they were not using the internet beyond a point. So I would imagine 3 years post lockdowns, 2 to 3 years post lockdowns, if the total internet usage has plateaued, ChatGPT, even after I don't think ChatGPT has increased the pie. I think it's eating into the existing usage of other channels or other websites. Okay. And if that is the case, then as a business vertical head of Google search or Bing search, I would definitely be worried that, of my advertising revenue going down, because it's definitely 30 minutes per day on average per capita is a significant this one for a new baby which is 1 year old.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good point. But of course, I mean, OpenAI is so much bigger than, or so much more than what just ChatGPT. So while ChatGPT may or may not have increased the entire pie as such, OpenAI definitely has, widened the market for AI. And
definitely.
I mean, it has opened so many avenues out.
Again, 1 year of ChatGPT, it's sort of the genie being out of the bottle, right? You can't put it back in the bottle, right? I mean, what ChatGPT has done is it has forever changed, the way we live and the technology industry. Okay, we are just talking, about technologists. Last week at the conference when I was there, a significant portion of the people that I was talking to were non-technologists, and what ChatGPT is doing is it is actually letting non-core technologists also start building, software products and AI products. The big topic of discussion was the new language of programming is not C, C++, .NET, Java, it's English, or any language that you would communicate with, right? And this, I think, has once and for all changed. And I think this is the biggest impact that ChatGPT has done on humanity. It's all of a sudden turned every one of 8 billion of us into coders.
It's reminiscent of what the World Wide Web did to the internet.
Right.
It created a whole GUI. What, like the HTML editors did for the layperson to get on and create web pages and create their own businesses. It is what crypto, the tokens, did for blockchain. Nobody knew what blockchain was. Everybody started getting curious about it. Of course, the other flip side is that entire crypto thing is in a mess at this point in time with the stuff. But otherwise, it was an extremely promising thing. And even the same was being said about a blockchain and Web3, that is going to change the internet. The internet will never remain the same. In some cases, yes, it has clearly a decentralized web is happening even as we speak, and we're seeing all the movements. But the buzz around crypto and blockchain has sort of died down to a very, very great extent. With AI, if you remember, we used to speak about AI for almost at least 7 years. We had pretty meaningful discussions.
2014, 15 onwards.
Clearly, 7-8 years we have been having this discussion on AI, but we never really, the man of the street today speaks about AI. They are concerned about what's happening with AI. It's I would say a lion's share goes to ChatGPT for that, giving a face to AI. Man on the street doesn't bother about whether it's generative AI or AI. And why should they even care, honestly? Which, of course,
we've been talking about it, right? I mean, we've been talking about AI being the deep technology. We've always even back in 2017, 2018, I remember we used to make presentations in our conferences as, AI is like electricity and your mobile wireless technology. It will stay in the back end. It will touch every aspect of your life, but it will stay in the back end. And that's why it's called deep technology and all of that. But now, like you said, every layman, every child, every senior citizen around the world, talks about AI, and that is thanks to ChatGPT completely.
Yeah. But just for the benefit of viewers and listeners, we'll just recap some of the events of what happened with OpenAI. Because actually most of our viewers and listeners would be
in the know.
Yeah, absolutely. But having said that, if they have missed certain elements, we'll just do a quick recap. So of course on November 17, Sam Altman was unceremoniously ousted from OpenAI, from the board, etc. And of course it was Ilya Sutskever who spoke about it was a very kind of a flaky and sort of opaque description. I mean, talking about transparency on the one hand and actually not spelling out what actually went wrong over there. So he spoke about something that they are trying to that they probably had not heard about it, and there was some leaked letter that has come out about a project QStar, if you know, which is supposed to be some beginnings of AGI, which which experts like Emily Bender and Andrew Ng and all have sort of dismissed, Jan LeCun and all thing, but. Yeah, it is expected that the techno-optimists and the techno-pessimists will have very different views on this. And that's for a later chat. But immediately you had Satya Nadella step in because he had to protect his company's more than $11 billion investment in OpenAI. He almost got Altman to lead a new AI unit, which I thought was more like creating a deep mind within Microsoft.
Yes. Yeah. And it added 60 billion to Microsoft's market cap.
Yes.
So
they lost. Yeah, they lost 1.7%. They lost 1.7%. 1.7%. I recall immediately the day Altman left, and of course they regained it 2.3%. I think it was quite interesting.
I think it added 60 billion to this one. That I think was an interesting move. Okay, but again, here what led to that this one? Obviously, what happened behind closed doors, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Everybody's just trying to connect the dots.
Here are the sequence of events on one string of dots, right? November 6th, OpenAI's Dev Day, where GPT
Yes.
Builder gets announced. Okay. And November 8th, Microsoft, sends a memo to its employees asking them
Not to use.
not to download because of potential security concern.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And November 15th, Sam Altman himself, stops any new signups on ChatGPT. Now, we don't know if it's because of the increased traffic because of GPT Builder, or if the security breach was actually a huge concern. So, but these are the sets of events that happened. But all said and done, whatever the reason might be, what Sam Altman announced in the form of GPT Builder on November 6th in OpenAI's Dev Day is the future. I mean, now we can argue whether the GPT 3.5 and 4 and ChatGPT and the LLMs today are ready for them or not. Okay. In my personal experience, I believe they are not. I still believe they are very volatile beasts. Okay. So, and opening them up for normal people to start building their own GPTs, I think it's a little premature, but that is going to be the future any which ways. I think that is very clear bright spot for AI. Whether he announced and launched GPT Builder prematurely before the LLMs and the platforms being ready, is the jury's out on that. Okay, but I think going forward, that is going to be the future any which ways.
Yeah, he made, I think, 3 or 4 announcements. One was to build their own, anybody can build their own GPT. He said, then he introduced GPT-4 Turbo with a 128K context window. Then I think he also introduced GPT-4 with Vision and DALI 3 API, if you remember.
DALI 3 was released, yes.
So there were these 3 or 4 developments which, sort of again created a lot of excitement, etc. But of course, now that he's back in the saddle, if you see his 1 December note, he has clearly said 2 or 3 things. One is, of course, Ilya is out of the board now.
Yeah.
So he has politely said, I hold no grudge against Ilya, etc. And we are trying to figure out ways to work together and all that stuff. If you remove that PR stuff aside, he's got Mira Murati back as CTO. Yeah. I'm feeling a little bad for Emmett Shear, who was the former co-founder and CEO of Twitch, who became the CEO, a very short-lived kind of...
Shortest period,
probably the shortest...
Even Mira Murati, I think only for a few hours. I mean, weekend...
No, but interestingly, so Mira Murati, to her credit, she was just the interim CEO, and she herself, I think she knew the consequences of supporting Altman while being inside. She knew what would happen,
and
which is why Emmett was immediately gotten as the CEO. I think that time OpenAI had a very different, sort of vision in mind, but things did not work, and I think Microsoft clearly put a lot of pressure. So I think Microsoft now has come in as a non-voting observer or something like that.
On the board.
So the point is, clearly they will have visibility on what the board does. They may not interfere in the day-to-day board's decisions. They may not intervene. They may intervene, perhaps, but they won't interfere in the day-to-day. That's my understanding as a board member. But clearly, Nadella doesn't want to have any last-minute surprises with, nearly $11 billion. What 11? Some people have pegged it at around $13 billion. So I don't think... Yeah, which I think, and especially given the fact that Copilot has been integrated with this and the thing. So now in this 1 December note, other than, talking about the new board and Ilya, he's spoken about 3 new priorities. One, of course, it says that OpenAI will now focus on advancing its research and investing more in our full stack, I'm quoting, in our full stack safety efforts. Then he will continue to improve and deploy more products, which he's already spoken about. And then but the third priority is very interesting, and improve the company's governance structure. So now, in this context, I had a very interesting chat with Andrew Ng just last week.
Last week you had I remember, yes.
So Andrew Ng, of course, Sam Altman was interned in at this thing, Andrew Ng's labs, and at doctoral level, so it's a very different kind of internship. But Andrew Ng clearly is very fond of Sam Altman. You can make out because the moment
Right.
you talk. But interestingly, what Ning said was that this governance structure is, as an investor, I look at this governance structure with a lot of suspicion. These things, these esoteric kind of models that are being tried out, we should put a stop to them because they create a lot more confusion than they actually, they solve any problems as such. Which is why I think this improve the corporate companies' governance structure it's an interesting point. And then, of course, he concludes with, now, this is another interesting point. I'm so looking forward, I'm quoting him, I'm so looking forward to finishing the job of building beneficial AGI with you all. Best team in the world, best mission in the world. So he's not detracting from his AGI mission. He's still talking about AGI.
I think, AGI is very strongly right in the middle of everything that OpenAI is doing. I think it's just that, building it, how they are building it is where people are differing, and that's why this entire incident happened.
They're calling it beneficial AGI kind of stuff.
Correct.
This is
and responsible AGI.
Responsible AGI. And the first they should have responsible AI, now responsible AGI, which I can't understand because this is an unsupervised. See, AGI gets into the field of unsupervised.
True.
No deep learning expert would ever claim that he or she can ever understand what's happening
in the hidden layers.
In the hidden layers. I don't know. I think this is easier said than done. But there's another angle which I want to discuss with you on the AGI part of it. Now, this again is something that I had asked Andrew also, his thoughts on AGI, because we have spoken ad nauseum about the debates that are happening in earlier episodes too. So I won't, viewers and listeners clearly are aware of the kind of debates. Those who have been watching these episodes and listening to these episodes are clearly aware of what's happening in this field.
True.
But when I spoke to Andrew, again, he highlighted the very same point which we are talking, that companies, including OpenAI, Google, etc., have been diluting the definition of AGI. Even OECD has done that. So now we are getting into something that is closer to what Mustafa Suleyman of DeepMind, one of the co-founders, has spoken about. He talks about artificial capability intelligence as a mid-layer between AI and AGI. And they don't call it AGI. Now they have started saying, okay, AGI versus ASI, which is artificial superintelligence.
Superintelligence, yes.
So a lot of jargon floating around. But if we are talking about AGI, we could have just called it perhaps enhanced AI.
Exactly.
Enhanced
AI, enhancing the capabilities and retain the definition of AGI and its target as well. And which to each their own, and everybody has their opinion, at least in my mind, would be very difficult to achieve in this lifetime.
Not only that, because it is distracting from the very main issue of your companies trying to use things, and it creates also a lot of scaremongering. And I think, as Andrew also said, and which we also have discussed in the past earlier episodes, is that it creates this whole the fear. A lot of fear around this whole concept of AGI, and a lot of sensational news, because any of these experts, whenever they make a statement, the media has to you have to talk about it. Now the point is, if Geoffrey Hinton says something, can I, as a media personality, ignore what Geoffrey says? No, he's one of the fathers of deep learning also. I have to take what he says quite seriously.
Absolutely.
Does that? But I think simultaneously, what is important now, even for media, for analysts, for everybody around the sun, is to put on the critical lens and ask, what do you mean by this?
No, because if you look at the trio of the modern AI, Geoffrey Hinton, Professor Benjio, and Jan LeCun, clearly the lines are drawn there as well. Geoffrey Hinton quit Google and moved on to completely make responsible AI development his mission for for the foreseeable future or for the rest of its life. Professor Bencher has already been there. Jan LeCun is heading AI at Meta. Okay. And he's talking about beneficial AI development, and to some extent, so is Andrew Ng. Okay. So the corporate versus this one, amongst the fathers or the godfathers of modern AI itself, okay, have been drawn.
But Jayanth, if we remove this, absolutely. I mean, I fully agree with you. But if you really look at the space out there, there are so many other AI experts who are, they could easily be some of these godfathers.
Yeah.
Andrew Ng, Google Brain.
Yes.
Fei Li, another expert. Emily Bender, another expert. I just look at these. I just, these are just names that are on the top of my head. Hundreds of other AI experts, including Mustafa Suleiman, Damasus of DeepMind, and then of course we are clearly forgetting the Larry Pages, the Sergey Brins, who actually started the entire thing. So. I mean, sometimes just because some people are being quoted in the media, we think that the buck stops at them. No, it really doesn't. There are many people who are really deep kind of experts. Like this is Jim Fan from NVIDIA, who was among the scientists. And if you sort of follow what they're saying, extremely critical remarks. And I think that makes it into a very healthy debate out there. So I think
I agree, and I quite like the this healthy debate coming from all corners of the field and all corners of the world as far as AI is concerned, right? I mean, earlier you drew a parallel of what's happening in the as far as the hype is concerned in the generative AI space with what happened with blockchain and crypto. Okay, I'd actually like to take that parallel ahead. The analyst is me is itching actually. If you, let's say blockchain as a technology versus AI and generative AI as technology, and, cryptos versus LLMs, the way the number of altcoins and cryptos grew, there was one Bitcoin, there was one Ethereum, and then, similarly, there was one ChatGPT and one Lambda or Bard. And then there were thousands and thousands per week that they were launching. Okay. And these mushrooming of these thousands is actually what got the technology closer to a average human being, or the imagination of caught the imagination of average human being. But the way they sort of, I won't say imploded, but they sort of filtered themselves out, right, in the blockchain and the crypto space as well. And the top 2-3 remain. Here also, that's going to happen. And I'd like to draw one other parallel this with another emerging technology that was around the same time, on the hype cycle of IoT. Remember IoT when it was at a hype cycle, the retail consumer use cases and the applications were many and many, but eventually the technology became a industrial IoT or the enterprise IoT was the technology that sort of gave some guardrails, structure, a business model, and a growth roadmap, right? And with all this that is happening with the responsible AI versus beneficial AI debate and everything, I believe that enterprise AI is also very slowly, and I see this happening in my conversations with the industry leaders. I see this happening. Enterprise AI is what is going to lead the AI development, because the so-called poster boys of AI, while they are trying to be on one side of or the other of this beneficial AI or AI for profit or responsible AI, at the end of the day, the enterprise guys are going to talk about the need for data security, privacy, access management, authentication, and they are going to develop very mature products and solutions, and use the technology and its evolution and all the innovations that are happening in it and because of it and through it, okay, in a very mature way. I think one other key bright spot that I see in this entire Sam Altman incident is that the enterprise AI is now going to germinate and surface and come out of the ground and sort of lead the AI development in a mature and a model with a in a structure with a business model and take it forward. And it's going to inculcate all the ethos of responsible AI in it.
Yeah, Jayanth, I mean, basically you're saying follow the money. I mean,
No, I'm not saying. No, I'm not saying follow the money. No. I'm not saying follow the money.
You're not.
I'm saying.
No. Why?
I'm saying.
Let me clarify.
There's going to be a structure to it, and enterprise AI is going to give that structure.
No, but you're absolutely right. I concur with you fully, because the point is, but what I'm saying is, it's always been the case.
Yeah.
The worldwide, it's not that the internet did not exist. It was there. Pentagon had it, DARPA had it, everybody had it.
In the 60s.
Even in India, it was there with all the the defense organizations and with all the academia. Like when you talk about AI, or you talk about machine learning for that matter of fact, I think even in the 60s, Professor Mahabala here in India, he had introduced. So we were aware of it, but it just remained a very academic debate. It is only when businesses pick up a particular technology or start adopting it, the success of the technology is actually, that's the real measure of the technology.
Right.
Unfortunately, if you see blockchain, they did not see as many users for it, because most of it went in closed and proprietary blockchains, which is not the case with AI. Now, but given this context, when you spoke about enterprise AI, this is what has been on the top of my mind, which I wanted to discuss with you. Now, clearly, you see that moment OpenAI spoke about, anybody can build their own GPT. It essentially, if I were to draw a parallel or do an analogy, it means that they're trying to create a SLM kind of model,
right?
A small language model. Which now the moment they do that, you already are starting. There are plenty of other options also in the SLM space. So, for instance, to give some examples, we have Llama from Facebook, which is just that Llama 2 is a 13 billion parameter stuff. Then you have Mistral, that is Arthur Mensch's company. That is a 7 billion parameter. Falcon is 7 billion parameters. IBM Granite is 13 billion parameters. Microsoft had a 1.5 billion parameter Phi 1. Now it has got Phi 2, which is 2.7 billion parameter. Essentially, when we're speaking about this SLM versus LLMs, of course, SLMs clearly are a derivative of LLMs. Let's not forget that. It's like, people saying, hey, we don't need the cloud anymore. Hey, I said, hold your horses. That's the foundation for most of these technologies. But having said that, this clearly implies that the future of AI, as we see it, is not going to be just about size, how many billion parameters, because that's probably a meaningless exercise any longer. It's more about, the tokens, and it's more about smart and efficient choices, context, as you said. And it's more about how, training these smaller models. One, of course, it also consumes less energy. It is, it is not as expensive as doing it for an LLM, obviously, and it can perform specialized domain-specific tasks relatively well, even after fine-tuning on just a handful of examples. So I think that's the strength of any SLM. That is what I think the GPT builders also
absolutely.
So I would love your thoughts on how companies are looking at this LLM versus SLM, and what in your sense would be a kind of a future for this.
I think the companies and the industry leaders are anyway looking at SLMs as a logical extension and evolution of the entire LLM space, because they're also coming in into the AI evolution from even as recent as 7-8 years ago. Anything machine learning, anything AI algorithm was all about data. We need a lot of data. From there, low data techniques have been developed, right? And then GANs have been developed, where sometimes you don't even need data. Synthetic data can be developed, and the machines can be trained by themselves, right? So the industry now knows that the size of the data is not the limitation, nor is going to be the situation going forward. So SLMs being the logical extension or the next stage of AI technology evolution, is something that the industry leaders and the companies know and talk of. But what they are interested is, it's not about the LLMs or SLMs. It's about vertical language models. How is the development of the vertical language models going to happen? What is going to be the framework around it? Because every company is bothered about the industry or the sector that it's that it operates in. and is trying to build a a co-pilot, not just a glorified chatbot using LLMs, okay, but everybody, or at least the top 3 leaders of any sector, is actually very seriously considering building a co-pilot, okay, using the generative AI, using LLMs, okay. And for that, they know that they need to build verticalized language models, okay. And they're all thinking about building the architecture and design for those verticalized language models. How will the evolution of that happen on the existing LLMs?
But so I would, as an analogy, and tell me if that analogy is right, more for the benefit of our viewers and listeners, because sometimes there's too much technical jargon out here. So the analogy that I would think of is more, the internet versus the intranet. So the intranet is the closed loop, the proprietary kind of stuff. Or if you look at, what we used to have this VoIP, the voice over internet protocol, the closed loop, the amount of advantage that we took with these VoIP phones. So that would be so this analogy where actually these SLMs or the GPT builders, etc., are trained on your existing data, where you can protect your data in silo. Or another analogy would be what happened with blockchains, where you had the open source blockchains, and you had the proprietary blockchain, which most of the banks are using today in India, also worldwide also. But even in India, they're using closed blockchains so that they can have the secure, safe data. The SLMs are doing more or less a similar kind of model. You're training it on your company specific data, and then using it very intelligently with whatever your analysis is there, search, etc., etc. That's the analogy that I would.
I think I agree, but I think that is one of the 2 applications of enterprises using LLMs, intranet, or training them on their own data for their own company purposes. And this works for multinationals, companies, large companies across regions and across industries as well, right? That works very well. But what some of these companies are also thinking about is actually developing a new business vertical using LLMs, which is, if you remember a couple of episodes back, we were discussing how generative AI and LLMs make the best assistant right now, right? So this entire co-pilot is nothing but a digital assistant, and there is an opportunity, and not just a product and solution opportunity, but a business opportunity itself of developing and deploying these assistants across sectors. I mean, healthcare and
it's
retail.
a very valid point that you have made, Jayanth. So what we should do is probably dedicate another episode just to this and talk about a lot more examples. Probably we could get somebody else also, and sort of discuss a few examples of how they are actually being used in the enterprise. Probably that will also help. I mean, as they say, the proof of the pudding lies in the eating at the end of the day. So anyway, on this...
no, but before you end, last 20 seconds, we cannot end a ChatGPT Happy Birthday episode without talking about how ChatGPT stopped the bloodbath in the tech industry, both in terms of layoffs and the stock price and the stock prices decline. Last year, this time, if you remember, even the big tech companies like Meta and Google and Apple and Amazon were firing their employees. Okay. And their stocks were declining, and ChatGPT gets launched. And this year alone, S&P 500 on average is 12% high. Meta is 160% high. The poster boy of all things tech stock, Nvidia is 220% up. Okay, so I think one of the biggest this one of ChatGPT is also that it stopped the bloodbath on both the tech industry layoffs and the tech industry stock prices.
I think that's a very positive note that you have said, because I think there was a lot of, had this happened honestly, there would have been a bloodbath, and as it is, funding has reduced to a very great extent when it comes to AI companies. And if you remember, we also, will this hype around AI create another winter of AI?
Right.
Luckily, fortunately, it looks like it won't this time around.
Although we are entering December, but we look like it's going to keep us.
And perhaps on this note, we should not get too distracted by AGI and just think about, how AI is developing. And, enhanced AI is the word that I would go out at this point in time, and not worry whether it's going to overpower us or not in a hurry. But anyway, as you said, the jury is still out on that. So thanks very much. And, we'll look forward to the next episode. And viewers and listeners, thank you very much once again. And we hope to have another interesting episode next week.
Yeah. Thanks, Leslie. Again, welcome back to India. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.